Hi, I'm Jeff Brazil with the online programs from the University of Arkansas. In this recorded webinar, you will hear Dr. Christy Smith from the College of Education and Health Professions to talk about the degree programs in educational leadership. Great stuff. And remember, go Hogs!
We're going to be going over our educational leadership programs. We have a few of them, so I'll just go through the general overview first. We're going to cover several topics today. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat, but we will have a Q&A section at the end, so you can unmute and ask a question in person. So I'll go over the programs, we'll go over the admissions process, and then some of the resources that are available to you as well. So first up is the Master of Education in Educational Leadership. This is one that all the coursework is 100% online. So anywhere in the world you can get this degree. It's 30 credit hours, and I believe full time that you're looking at about an 18-month estimated completion time. And another benefit of this is that there is no GRE required for admission to this program. It kind of prepares you for administrative positions in elementary and secondary education. And then another thing to note about this is that the courses are offered in 8-week rotations, but there is a synchronous meeting on Wednesday evenings in the fall and spring semesters. And then summer courses are offered in 5-week sessions as well. So the requirements for all of these programs are going to be pretty similar. So it requires admission, obviously, to the graduate school as well as to the educational leadership program. And then a valid teaching license as well as a writing prompt in the program application, and 2 letters of recommendation as well as a resume. So for this program, the application for admission deadline is April 1st, and then early admissions for the fall semester cohort are November 1st. The next program that we have is the Educational Specialist, and it also is 100% online, 30 credit hours, same thing, estimated completion time of 18 months. There is some flexibility in that, typically, depending on what your workload is like, if you're working full-time, things like that, and then no GRE as well. And it's kind of geared more towards those seeking that district level licensure. So, and then similar sort of schedule and setup as the masters as well. So the requirements, I believe, are almost identical, except for a master's degree is required for this program. So and the deadlines are the same. So April 1st for the admission to be to the program, and then early admissions for the fall semester cohort are November 1st. And then the last program that we have to talk about today is the Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership. So this one is 100% online coursework. It's 42 credit hours with an estimated completion of 3 years. Again, no GRE is required for admission to this program. And it's kind of like a terminal degree where, there's a broad range of fields that people take this program are coming from. So if you're looking at being a district leader or working in higher education or things like that, or even policy directors, this is a really, really great program for that. Again, weekly synchronous meetings are a part of that, but this one also requires an on-campus weekend seminar once per semester. So that's something to be mindful of if you're looking at this particular program. And then the requirements for this one are, again, pretty similar. A master's degree is required. An application to both the graduate school as well as the educational leadership program must be completed with a resume, 2 letters of recommendation, and a prompted writing sample. And then if you get to the finalist panel, there's an interview that may be requested from the educational leadership faculty. So, and then the application deadline for this one is February 1st for cohorts that are starting in the summer of that same year. So, and then at this point, rather than kind of going over all this kind of talks about it from the faculty standpoint. And I think I'll just turn it over to Dr. Smith and let her talk about really why these programs are so great and what you can expect to get from these programs.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Jeff, for inviting me to ride along in this webinar today. I am finishing up my 6th year as a faculty member in the Ed Leadership Program, but I am not new to the Ed Leadership Program at the university or to the University of Arkansas. All 4 of my degrees have been obtained through the University of Arkansas. So my bachelor's is from this college, and my master's, my Ed.S, and then my terminal degree, my doctorate, was through the Ed Leadership Program at the U of A. Now, back in the day, between 15 and 20 years ago, when I did my degrees, they were face to face, and so twice a week I was madly rushing from my work in a school in Northwest Arkansas, fighting Fayetteville traffic to get on campus, find a parking spot, and then be in class for usually about 3 hours. And that was 2 nights a week because I would always take 6 hours. But this program does several things. First of all, you get the benefit of being able to get your degree from the only R1 institution in the state of Arkansas. So, this is the flagship university in our state. But you get the best of both worlds in that even though the coursework is online, it is provided synchronously. So as Will shared, 1 night a week, you are on Blackboard Ultra and you are having classes virtually face to face with other members of your cohort. And, you may have classmates in your cohort that are from other parts of Arkansas. Right now, I have students that are in Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, California, Arizona. I've had New Jersey, Florida, North and South Carolina, Alabama. We are well represented across the state. So you've got a very diverse group of cohort members, but you also have access to a network across Arkansas and then also outside the region, because our faculty is very engaged with scholarship across the country. We are all members of the University Council for Educational Administration, the Education Law Association, AERA, the American Research and Education Association. We have faculty members that are involved in international research and have presented in Europe and in Africa and, points beyond. We have a good mix of our faculty in that we have experienced building and district practitioners. My background is I was a middle school principal. I was an assistant principal at the largest high school in the state of Arkansas. Then I moved to a district position. I have, there's another professor of practice, Dr. Michael Hensley, who has been a building administrator in the Arkansas River Valley. This time last year, he was working as a principal. So, we bring that practitioner perspective to the coursework, and you get that mix of theory and research, but also you get the experience of what does it look like when you are boots on the ground implementing this in your district or in a building where you might be a principal. The fact that it is a cohort, when you get into the cohort, and our master's and Ed.S program cohorts start in the fall. And so you would begin taking classes at the same time as other new students. And you go through the program together, you're taking classes together, and without exception, students develop very close relationships with other members of their cohort. And I have seen over the time that I have been a faculty member in this program, as well as when I was a doctoral student, that I still have connections with administrators across the state and in the region that I took classes with. I know administrators in Missouri, in Kansas, people that are in Texas, that got their doctorate at the same time I did. So, you get very, very personalized attention from faculty, but then you're developing these relationships with your classmates. You are benefiting from the theory and the scholarship in educational leadership, but then also the practicalities of what it looks like to be implementing theory and scholarship when you are running a building or leading a school district.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was a really, really great overview of that program or these programs. I really appreciate that. And so we'll move on from and kind of go. This is just a general overview of the pathway. Typically, you would get your master's and then you kind of have the option to either go to the ed specialist and then move on to the doctoral program, or just go straight to the doctoral program. But both of those are going towards more that district level administration. So then the estimated cost of attendance, and this is in-state tuition. So no matter where you live, you're going to pay the same amount. Each one of the programs that we've talked about today is $446.29 per credit hour. And the great thing about that is it's the same no matter where you are. So the benefits of one of these degrees, any one of these, is what's really great is that it's flexible. So you can continue working full time and you don't have to put your life on hold. You can keep working in a school, in whatever your career is, to get this degree. And then obviously these are affordable. You pay the same amount no matter where you live. And then we also have several scholarships that we'll go over here in just a minute. So why the University of Arkansas? Well, first of all, the University of Arkansas is a top public research institution and is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. One of the things that we're really proud of is that we're consistently ranked by the U.S. News and World Report for both the on-campus and online degree programs. Specifically, the College of Education and Health Professions has been ranked many times. Generally, annually, we're ranked among some of the best programs, and educational leadership is among those. A lot of that is owing to the fact that dedicated faculty like Dr. Smith are there, and they're the same ones that teach both on-campus and online courses. And so it's really, it's the same degree. So whether you're on campus or online, you're going to get the same degree. You're going to get to be a Razorback. If you want to get your name engraved on the sidewalk, that's something that you can do. And it's just equivalent. There is no difference. There's no thing that says I got an online degree. So it's a really, really awesome institution, and there's a lot of opportunity for career advancement there as well. So just a quick overview of the admissions process. So like I said, you would apply to both the graduate school as well as the educational leadership program. In that, you'll submit your official transcripts and any additional materials like the resume and things like that, the writing prompt throughout. Then you'll have a little bit of a waiting period, but you can check your status, and then you'll receive a decision. And any interviews that you might be called for you would find out about that sometime after that, I believe. As Dr. Smith said, we use like a course management system called Blackboard Ultra, which is where you'll see all of your courses. You can interact with your professor there, send messages. Obviously, you can do that through email as well, but all of your deadlines, classes, grades, and everything can be viewed here on Blackboard Ultra. So it's a great program, and it allows you to have that sense of community as well as be able to access those classes. And then one of the things that we've worked really hard to build is that sense of community, even if you're learning from a distance. So we have online student liaisons that can keep you, pointed in the right direction if you're feeling a little lost throughout the admissions process, or you just have questions that you don't know exactly where to go. They're a really, really great resource because they can point you in that right direction. And then if you're needing a little motivation, coaches are also really, really helpful. They just kind of help. They're like your own personal cheerleader to keep you going. And then to help you stay connected and get you on the right path for learning, we have the student union as well as an online orientation to point you in the right direction and get you started on a good foot. So, and then additionally, we have some scholarships that we're really excited to offer. So specifically for online students, we have the W.E. Manning Memorial Scholarship, and I believe that's $1,000 per semester. And then if you live in Arkansas, we do have several that are available to you, such as the Academic Challenge Scholarship. Arkansas Teacher Opportunity Program is really great as well. And then you'll definitely want to fill out a FAFSA. So that way, if you qualify for anything like the Pell Grant, you'll want to take that and maximize the amount that you're able to receive. And then the the education department also has several scholarships listed here, as well as some that aren't. They kind of come in rotation. So sometimes there are scholarships that are available that you'll just need to request information about and apply for those on a case-by-case basis. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the financial aid department. They're going to be the best resource for looking at those different scholarships. And then finally, if you have any questions that we couldn't answer today or that don't get answered, if you don't feel like unmuting and asking those, or you remember something later, feel free to reach out to any of these resources. The one on the left is the College of Education and Health Professions. And then Dr. Smith is in the middle. She's a really, really great resource, so feel free to ask her any questions. And then if you have specific questions about the graduate school or its application process, that information is there. So I guess now we can open it up for Q&A. I know we have several questions in the chat, so I'll turn it over back to Jeff.
Yes, I see we have some questions there in this chat, and I know that Dr. Smith has answered a couple of them. One of them that I can answer here for sure, I know one of the scholarships for the 25-26 scholarship deadline for the W.E. Manning scholarship, that has already passed. That is, you fill that out on February the 1st to be submitted for that. That's through our department. That's the online scholarship that's offered. It's $2,000 a semester, and that has passed, but that would be something once you're in that you could enroll in that in the next year. Gene Gabriel has a question: is the University of Arkansas a nationally accredited or accredited school? Yes.
Yes, our program is CAPE approved. We have advanced certification through CAPE. And as I mentioned, we are the only Research 1 institution in the state of Arkansas, and R1 is the highest level of research certification that a post-secondary institute can achieve. I also put in the chat a link. I don't know where you all are located, but the Arkansas Association of Educational Administrators has multiple scholarship opportunities. So if you are a teacher in Arkansas who's interested in working toward principalship or superintendency or even toward the doctorate, then AAEA is a wonderful organization for you to join. And if you join as a student, it's significantly more affordable. I think it's less than $50 per year. But then also that gives you multiple opportunities to get scholarships. And some of those scholarships are recurring for you to be able to access.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Smith. I also see a question. I do online degrees participate in Senior Walk. Yes, you do get once you graduate, you get your name on Senior Walk, which is all throughout campus. Wherever you walk around, whatever year you graduate, that's there forever. They can't ever take that away from you. You come back to campus 10 years from now, your name will be on that sidewalk. It's a very special thing that we do that. We're the only university that has students' names, the graduates on the sidewalks. And you also, I know for our end on the online global campus online, we have a graduation party every year. This year it's held in the SCC club in front of the football stadium, and you can bring your family. Your whole family can come into town. We have a party, fellowship, and everybody gets to, gets acknowledged that they've completed their degree. And then also, I believe that the education, they also have a party, and they want to get to know people and who's graduating and all that. So we welcome you to come back to campus once you complete and get that degree, and we're excited to have you back. And your name is always on the Senior Walk forever, as long as the University of Arkansas is here.
Something I would like to share is that that was not included in the presentation because what Will and Jeff included were the degrees. But for example, if you already have a master's degree, so if you are a high school science teacher and then you got a master's in secondary education, for example, and you want to pursue the principalship, you do not have to get another master's degree. We have programs called the Postmaster's Building Level Certificate, and that's 24 hours that you can complete that will get you a certificate. You actually get a diploma from the University of Arkansas, but that is the core coursework that would be necessary for you to be able to add building administration to your license. Similarly, if you have a master's degree and you're already a principal, we have a postmaster's district level certificate, and that is an 18-hour program. And you complete those courses. It also, within that 18 hours, there is an internship that it lasts a semester, and then you could submit that to add superintendent licensure to your credential. And so, there are two pathways to get to principalship and two pathways to get to the superintendency.
I see somebody has their hand up. Go ahead and you can unmute and ask a question.
Thanks. My name's Adam, by the way.
Okay, Adam.
My kids have their little thing on there.
There you go.
I'm the headmaster of a private school, and I'm looking at making kind of a shift into more public education. And so I've been teaching for about 17 years, and I guess I have some questions about how to make that transition. So one, I don't have a teaching credential, and I see that that's a requirement of the Masters of Education in leadership. And so is there a means for obtaining a credential that would make sense for someone kind of like me in the middle of my teaching career? And then also, could you compare and contrast the Ed.D program with the PhD program, which I know wasn't part of this presentation, but just to help me kind of figure out what might be the best route for me to go, because I'm also interested in some of the policy side of things.
In what state are you, Adam?
I'm in Missouri.
You're in Missouri. My best guidance for you would be for you to reach out to Ed.S in Missouri and find out from them about alternative pathways to teacher licensure. Because for you to get a license as an administrator to work in a public school, you're going to have a teaching license first. And I am just not familiar with what your state requires for that. But, I know in Arkansas, they've got like provisional licensures where if a person has a bachelor's degree in a content area, then you can get a provisional license, and then you do coursework during the summer. You have a mentor that works with you, and you could actually be teaching in a classroom, and you have a provisional license. But once you got that standard license, then you would be able to pursue getting an administrative license. So, it's a little bit of a scenic route, so to speak, for you to get to that administrative credential, but it is something that is doable. But you would have to consult with your state to find out what their criteria are.
Pretty familiar with the scenic route, so that sounds like a good plan. Thank you for your answer. Very helpful.
Well, and you also ask about the difference between the EDD and the PhD. The EDD is a practitioner degree. My degree is an EDD because I was a principal. I was a special ed director for a really big school district in Northwest Arkansas. And so I wanted a terminal degree that was going to provide me with the skills and the knowledge and the disposition and the research capacity to do what I needed to do to lead a building and lead a school. The PhD, of course, is different in that it is It is geared primarily toward a more research and a more scholarship. So, there are faculty members in our program. There are 3 of us out of the 7. There are 3 of us that have EDDs, and then 4 have PhDs. So, we're pretty close to half and half between the practitioner terminal degree and a scholarly, more research-based terminal degree. But all of us have experience working in education in some capacity. Dr. Michael Hensley, our newest professor of practice, was a principal last year. I retired from K-12 in 2016, so it's been a minute since I was working in public school as a leader. Our program coordinator was the headmaster of a private school in upstate New York. One of our other PhD professors, a full professor, worked for the New York State Department of Education and worked in education finance. Another one of our EDD professors she was a school counselor and is married to a superintendent, and they live in southern Missouri. And then we have 2 new faculty members, both of whom are PhDs and very much involved in research. Solid, newly minted PhDs, but movers and shakers in the educational research world.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Thank you for that question. Gene, you go ahead and have a question. You raise your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, I had a question in regards to, I recently worked in education, and I just had a question about, because I have had some educational credits that I did. When I first started working in education, I wanted to work and become a public school educator. And I spent about a year working in the upstate New York area, and I had some educational credits from my program, which I still have. It's like 20, 36 credits or whatever. So I'm just wondering, would I be able to complete, if I wanted to continue with it, to continue and work and become an educator? I still have to get a license with the I still have to get a license. But basically, would I be able to complete a master's degree in education through the University of Arkansas? Because I've just finished, I got my MBA from the University of Arkansas Grantham, which is an online educational program, which is I got it through the University of Arkansas. So basically, would I be able to complete an education degree with my educational credits from, I guess this is like 5 years ago or something, but would I be able to complete it? And I also have an interest in doing leadership, so I guess this would put me on the path of becoming a principal or becoming a superintendent. So would I be able to continue doing that? Would I be taking a bit of a scenic route to try to get there, or would it kind of speed up the process?
Well, first of all, it's really good that your coursework is only 5 years old, because typically coursework that you take has a shelf life of 10 years or less. And so it would depend upon the courses that you took. Now, help me refresh my memory. Do you currently have a teaching license?
I do not.
You do not.
I actually sought to. I recently finished my master's degree in business administration like last year. So, I tried to see if I could get a license in business, like teaching business classes or whatever in high school. So I tried to see if I could do that, but so far I guess I haven't really pursued it as much as I should have. But I could say my educational credits, actually, I think I got them 10 years ago. So that I was studying I studied in like 2016 or something. So it will be like next year, but I guess it's 9 years so I could still use it to complete a master's in education. But I'm looking like working at home, and I'm also like I'm still figuring out like what kind of career path I want to take, but I know I want to work in a leadership role, and so I thought that I saw the University of Arkansas had something here, so let me see what they got. So yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you are considering us as a option for your post baccalaureate experience, and
Yeah.
you may be in a situation similar to Adam in that you may want to pursue the scenic route, so to speak, since you do have a master's in business. If you have an MBA, then you might see about options of getting that alternative licensure to teach business related courses, accounting or something of that nature in a public school. And then once you completed that alternative pathway, then you could potentially segue that into working toward a certificate, like since you've already got a master's, and if you had a teaching license, then you could see if we could make it work for you to get a principal certificate as opposed to have to get another master's degree.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, it's something that I could try to do. Um, I I guess my goal is to want to work in a leadership capacity. I've worked in education for some time, for like 9 years now. So I worked as a to be honest with you, I worked as a substitute teacher. So I mean, I never really worked full time as a contracted teacher because I was substituting a lot. So, but I have a lot of that background knowledge as a teacher working in a lot of the schools over here, and so I was trying to see if it's possible for me to get around this somehow because I already have a master's. So let me try to get a license in a high school setting. Um, so yeah, so that's I wanted to work in a leadership sort of role and position. Maybe maybe doing principal, maybe doing. I know my MBA would really help as a principal and as a superintendent. So that's why I could see myself going in that direction.
And I agree. I think that probably some of the skills and dispositions that you developed in your MBA program would certainly be transferable to building and district level leadership. I think the part that is going to be critical, that gap for you to fill, would be the understanding of the classroom experience, because the most important job that a principal does is to coach teachers and to raise up high quality teachers that are working in classrooms with students, because that's where the real magic happens of having students be able to achieve at the levels that we want them to. And but my email address is on the slide deck that Jeff and Will have prepared. So, feel free, and I'll put my email address in chat as well. uark.edu. So feel free to reach out to me if you would like, and I would be happy to answer any more questions that you might have or something you think about, in a couple of hours or a couple of days.
Yeah, I just have one more question. So I guess if I need to find out more information about getting that certification, getting a certificate to work in a public schools, at the contact New York State Department of Education.
Yes.
More about that.
Yes. And you could probably do some online research, just like alternative pathways to teacher licensure for your state.
Okay. All right. I'll do that for sure. So thank you very much, Chrissy.
My pleasure. I wanted to be sure to answer Joey's question. You teach is Joey still here? Says, I teach in Chicago. My plan was to apply for the Arkansas administrative license, then reciprocate to Illinois. Does this seem doable? Well, I don't know that is not doable. It's usually, we usually see the opposite. Someone who is licensed in another area and is going to reciprocate to get Arkansas licensure. I think I'm trying to think of what the application looks like. For you to apply for administrative licensure in Arkansas, you have to be certified as a teacher in Arkansas. So the first step would be to get teacher licensure in Arkansas. Then you would also have to document that you have at least 3 years of classroom teaching experience, and you would have to finish either a degree program or a certificate program of study. And you would have to, Arkansas has an online portal called AILS, Arkansas Educational License System, and you would have to apply for that, for the principal license on that. University has magic they have to do by uploading your transcript, and then once that all gets to DESE and Little Rock, then they flip the switches and add it to your license. And so I'm guessing that once it was on your license in Arkansas, then you could turn it around and submit for reciprocity in Illinois. Does Arkansas licensure apply to New York? You would have to go through, Jean Gabriel, you would have to go through the process of applying. If you were a licensed teacher in Arkansas, then you would have to apply for reciprocity in New York. And I do not know what New York teacher licensure criteria are. I know, like, if I'm a teacher in Arkansas, but if I wanted to teach in Texas, I would have to take Texas history. They would put me on a provisional license until I could show that I had taken and passed Texas history. Then I would be able to get a standard license in Texas. And so I do not know what that criteria are. Can I have more than one license? Yes, you can be licensed to teach in multiple states.
Well, great. We want to thank everybody. We want to thank Dr. Smith's time today to come in and meeting with us, talking about the program. Thank you to all of our participants who attended today. We're thankful for all the questions, and just, you have our contact information, and any other questions you have, we'll send out. Somebody asked about the PowerPoint presentation. We'll get that sent out to the registrants and those who are here. And so we're just very thankful. And if you have any other questions about the program or interested in the program, just reach out to us and we can make that happen and answer any questions that you have. We're very thankful that you attended, and we hope to see everyone be Arkansas Razorbacks someday. And we're very excited about it. And so thank you all for attending. And if you need anything, just reach out to us.